Hello everyone. So in previous lecture we have seen the casting process, how the casting is made and the different components of the casting process. Okay. Now before going ahead, let us see the terminologies which uses in casting. Okay. So today we'll see the different terminologies of the casting, okay, which normally uses the terminologies in casting process. So first is nothing but the pattern. Okay, so here the we have seen the pattern. Okay, so here you can see the pattern is there. Okay, so pattern is nothing but it is the approximate duplicate of the final casting which is used to form the mold cavity. Okay, now next terminology is molding material. So the molding material is nothing but the material that is packed around the pattern, and then the pattern is removed to leave the cavity where the casting material will be poured. Okay, now next terminology is flask. So flask is nothing but the rigid wood or metal frame that holds the molding material. Okay, now next terminology is cope. So cope is nothing but the top half of the pattern, flask, mold or core. Okay, and next terminology is drag. Drag is nothing but the bottom half of the pattern, flask, mold or core. Okay, these are some terminologies of the casting process which normally uses. Now further we will see the terminology that is nothing but the core. So core is nothing but it is an insert in the mold that produces internal features in the casting like holes. If the holes is there inside the casting part at that time, this core uses. Otherwise, this core cannot be used in a casting. If we want the hollow portion or some internal features inside the casting, at that time this core uses. Okay. Now next that is mold cavity is there. So mold cavity, it is the combined open area of the molding material and core where the metal is poured to produce the casting. Okay, mold cavity is nothing but it is the combined open area of the molding material and the core. Okay, where the metal is poured to produce the casting. Next terminology is riser is there. Okay, so it is an extra void in the mold that fills the molten material to compensate for shrinkage during solidification. Okay, as I earlier said that whenever this molten metal solidifies, it shrinks. Okay, then to compensate that shrinkage during solidification, this riser is allowed to flow the metal which is present over here into the cavity. Okay, next gating system. So the gating system is nothing but the network of connected channels that delivers the molten metal or molten material to the cavity. What it does, it delivers the molten metal to the mold cavities. This is gating system. Now next, that is pouring cup. This pouring cup is nothing but the part of the gating system that receives the molten metal from the pouring vessel. What happens in the pouring cup? It is the part of the gating system that receives the molten metal from either ladle or from the pouring vessel. Okay. Now next, sprue is there. So what it does, the whatever the pouring cup is there, it attaches to the sprue, which is vertical part of the gating system. Okay, and if we see this sprues, one end is connected to the pouring cup and other end is connected to the runners of the gating system. Okay, now next, that is runner. So what is runner? Runner is nothing but the horizontal portion of the gating system that connects the sprues to the gates. Okay, which is known as a runners. Now next, that is the gates. What is the gate? Gate is nothing but the controlled entrance from the runner to the into the mold cavity. This is called as a gate. What is gate? Gate is the controlled entrance from the runner to the mold cavity. Okay. Now next, that is vent is there. Vent is nothing but, here it is not there, but practically the vents are provided. So what is the purpose of vents? It is nothing but the additional channels that provides an escape for gases which generated during the pour. That means what happens normally, here the vents are provided. So what it does, it allows to escape the gases which forms during the pouring. Okay, after pouring the molten metal, the gases were formed. So to escape those gases, such vents are provided into the mold cavity. Okay, now next is parting line. Parting line is the interface between the cope and drag hulls of the mold, flask or pattern. Okay, it is also called as sometimes parting surface also. What it does, it is the interface between the cope and the drag hulls of the mold, flask or pattern. Okay, next, that is draft is there. Okay, draft, it is nothing but the taper on the casting, or it is the taper on the pattern that allows to be withdrawn from the mold. Okay, suppose instead of this draft, if it is straight, say, then at the times of removal of the pattern, what happens, there will be some chances of breaking such corners. This will happen while removing the pattern. So that what they do, they provide some draft over here so that the pattern can be easily removed from the mold. Okay, so this is the purpose of draft. Core box. Core box is nothing but the mold or the die which is used to produce the cores. So these are the terminologies which normally uses in a casting. Okay, now next, let us move to the pattern. Okay, so here you can see the pattern. The pattern which is nothing but the a replica of casting which is to be produced. Okay, in other words, we can say that the replica is nothing but the shape of pattern which remains same as the shape of casting produced, but some dimensions are different. Okay, now here you can see on one of the side we are saying that it is the replica of the casting which is to be produced, and on the other side we are saying that that is some dimensions are different. Why? So as I earlier said that here the pattern dimensions are there, but whenever this molten metal solidifies it shrinks. Okay, so due to that what happens, we will not get the exact shape of the required part. So for that, what we are supposed to do, let us see further. So here pattern size is nothing but casting size plus minus allowances are there. Okay, that means if say the casting size, if say let us take out the example of one of the shaft is there. Okay, let me draw. Let us assume, okay, not go to the shape, just for the understanding concept. Let us see this circular object is there which is to be produced, and it is having the dimension of 50 mm. Okay, suppose we have made the pattern of 50 mm, we did all this molten metal, we poured, we did the cavity, poured the molten metal, but during inspection we will find that the dimension of our casting was not 50 mm, it was somewhere around 49 point, let us say 90 mm, or for the better of understanding we will consider it is 49.50. Now as we know, we have made the pattern of required size, and still why this is happening, due to the shrinkage. That's why we give the allowances on this pattern. That means if we are our required size is 50, at that time what we do, we make the pattern which may be the having diameter, we can say that 50.50. Actually the in real life this is also less than the point 50, it may around say that point 0.01, point 2, or point 0.5, point 10, but for the sake of understanding we are considering this higher side. Okay, so if I make the pattern of which is having 50.50 and do all the process, that is pattern is having 50.50, pour the molten metal, allow the solidify, then after solidifying this molten metal I break the mold cavity, then remove the runner riser, and whenever I do the inspection at that time I will get the exact size of 50 of the casting part. Okay, so for that purpose this pattern size is having the allowances is provided into the pattern size. This is the importance of the allowances. Okay, now next let us see the types of material which uses for the pattern. So here there are different types of pattern materials are there. Okay, so let us see one by one. First one, that is wood. Okay, this is what the widely or maximum times this wood uses the pattern in the casting. Okay, the contribution of wood is more compared to other materials. So in wood what happens, whatever the normally teak wood and mahogany which is normally uses for the making the pattern. Why? Because these are economical and easily available. Also, these are strong and durable. Okay, due to these properties, the teak wood and mahogany uses as a wood pattern in the casting. Next, pattern is metals. So here, whatever the low density materials are there, they are used for pattern. It contains like aluminum, aluminums, white metals, titaniums, such low density material uses in the metals. And also here, the double shrinkage allowances are provided on the metal pattern. Okay, and here these metal patterns are uses for continuous casting. So what is continuous casting, that we will see in our upcoming lectures. Okay, so apart from these pattern material, some of the material also uses for the pattern, like plastic, wax. Let us see plastic. This is also the commonly used in industry because it satisfy all the properties. Okay, next wax is there. Okay, so wax, as we know, it is very soft in nature, so it can get any type of, we can give any type of shape to this wax. Okay, and also we can give any complicated shape to this wax, and the examples are that gold and silver ornament, turbine blades, which are normally for this component wax pattern uses. Okay, also one of the type of casting is there, that is investment casting is there. There are also wax uses that we will see in our upcoming lecture. Next, mercury. This is also used as a pattern which uses for small size of complex shape, and here in this, it is having a excellent surface finish without machining. Also it has highest density, and but it is having a high cost, and mercury, as we know, it is a high poison fluid, so liquid, so it is normally avoided. Okay, if the requirement is most important, at that time this mercury uses. Otherwise, this widely used in the industries are wax, woods. These both are uses in widely. Okay, these others are also pattern materials are there, but widely uses material is wax and wood in the industry. Now next we will see the types of pattern. So here you can see the types of pattern, that is first one is nothing but a single piece, that is the solid pattern. Okay, so here you can see the first type of pattern, that is single piece solid pattern. Okay, so if we see this pattern is made by single piece only. Okay, and these patterns used for in a simple casting. Okay, if you see this pattern, this is only in a single piece, and this uses for a simple casting it uses. Okay, these are these types of pattern. Next is split pattern. This split pattern is made by a two pieces. It is called as a split pattern or two piece pattern. Why? Because it is splitted along the parting line or a common line. It is splitted into a parting line. Okay, and the upper half of the pattern molded in a cove and other bottom half in a drag. Okay, that means if one of the component is there, it can be manufactured by a split pattern. Okay, this pattern is divided into two parts or in two pieces, and as we have seen in video, that is by using this split pattern the casting can be done. Okay, this is also uses widely the split pattern. Match plate pattern, this is one of the type of pattern is there. It is similar to split pattern, but match plate is placed between two half. Okay, and here it uses for a small casting in a large production, the match plate pattern. Next, cope and drag pattern, as we have earlier seen that which this uses for a large casting. Okay, now we have seen the allowances. Let us see the allowances. Okay, so here you can see the different allowances are there. Okay, so as we know that the pattern is having different size as compared to casting because it carries certain allowances due to some metallurgical and mechanical reasons. That's why the different allowances are there. So let us see first shrinkage allowance. So here, as we know, as metal solidifies and cools, but while cooling, it shrinks and contracts in size. So to compensate for this, a pattern is made larger than a finished casting by means of shrinkage allowance. Okay, and here, so whatever the contraction is there, it is different for different materials are there. Okay, that we will see later. Next, machining allowance. So here this machining allowance is also called as finish allowance. So for good surface finish, machining of casting is required. That means for machining, extra materials are needed. Okay, so whenever we produce this casting, some what we can say, to get a good finish, some extra materials are needed on these produced casting. So for that, the machining allowances are required. Okay, so this extra material or extra metal on the casting is called as a machine allowance. This allowance is given in addition to shrinkage allowance. Okay, shrinkage allowance is there, but apart from this shrinkage allowance, machining allowance is given for good surface finish. For machining of the casting, it is required. Next, a draft allowance. So this is helpful to remove the pattern from the mold. Okay, so at the time of withdrawing the pattern from the mold, the vertical faces of the pattern are in contact with the sand. Due to that, it may damage the mold cavity. Okay, due to that, it may damage the mold cavity. So this risk is decreased by using a tapered inward slightly. The slight taper inward on the vertical surface of a pattern is known as a draft. Okay, so for easy removal purpose of the pattern, this draft allowance is provided. Next, shake allowance. As we know, when a pattern is wrapped in the mold before it is withdrawn, the cavity in the mold is slightly increased. Okay, as we have seen, that is whenever in cup and draw or whenever in flask, we kept the pattern inside the box, and after that we pour the sand inside this box. So what happens there is after pouring the sand and after performing a ramming action, the cavity is slightly increases due to the ramming action. Okay, so in order to compensate those slightly increment, the allowance is called as shaking allowance. That means when a pattern is wrapped or shaped in the mold before it is withdrawn, the cavity in the mold is slightly increased. So in order to compensate this, pattern is made slightly smaller than the actual. Okay, this is what the shake allows. And the last, which is nothing but distortion allowance. So what it does, if the shape of the casting changes, then it is called as a distortion of the casting. Okay, and if we see, it is of a irregular shape, or it is what we can say, if all the parts do not shrink uniformly at that time, this distortion forms. And if it has a long flat casting, or the arms pass unequal thickness, that means if irregular shapes are there, it is nothing but a distortion. So for that, this distortion allowance is also provided to the pattern. Okay, so this is what we have seen, the different patterns. Okay, now next we'll see the mold making method. Okay, but before that, let us see the information about sand. Okay, so if we see regarding sand which uses in the casting, so there are various types of sand which uses in the casting. These different types of casting sand has these different types of casting have their own advantages and their disadvantages are there. So the type of metal which is required to be cast influence also which additives and what gradation of sand is used. Some of the most common types of casting sand used in foundries are, that is, grain sand, natural sand, synthetic sand, oil tempered sand, core sand, sodium silicate, baked binder. So these are some sands which are uses. Okay, so most sand casting operation uses the silica sand. Sand is nothing but the product of disintegration of rocks over extremely long periods of time. That means we can say in other words, that is, it is nothing but the decay of the rocks over long periods of time. It is inexpensive and is suitable as a mold material because of its resistance to high temperature. So if we see, there are two general types of sands are there, that is naturally bonded, that is bank sand is there, and synthetic, that means lake sands are there. Because its composition can be controlled more accurately, hence the synthetic sand is preferred by the most foundries. Okay, as there are two types of sand, that is naturally bonded and synthetic, but the composition can be controlled accurately, hence the synthetic sands are used in a most foundries. Okay, and there are several factors are there which are important in the selection of sand of molds. That means sand having fine round grains and can be closely packed and forms a smooth mold surface. Okay, so for this purpose we have seen whatever the sand which we are pouring into this glass, it is filtered. Why? Because the sand should be having a fine round grains and should be closely should be a closely packed and to form a smooth mold surface. Okay. Also, the good permeability of molds and cores allows gases and steam evolved during casting to escape easily. The mold should have good collapsibility. Okay, that means whenever the casting Shrink allows while cooling, it is should be having a good collapsibility to avoid defects in the casting. Okay, so good collapsibility is also one of the most important factors while selecting the sand. Okay, now there are also some binders are there which is also called as additives, that is organic binders, inorganic binders, additives which also uses in a casting. Okay, this is what we have seen, the properties of sands which uses in the casting. Okay, so today we are going to stop over here. Thank you.